Hey, we are back with the Exoneree Band, who we just heard from before the break. In total, they have spent nearly 100 years serving time for crimes they did not commit. Joining me now, Ted Bradford, who was convicted of a rape in Yakima, Washington, and spent 9 years in prison. Antoine Day was convicted of murder in Chicago, spent 14 years behind bars. William Dillon served 27 years of a life sentence, 27 years for a murder in Central Florida. Eddie Lowry was a former soldier who spent 10 years locked up for a rape in Kansas. And Raymond Towler, a U.S. Army veteran who did 29 years in prison on a rape charge in Cleveland. None of you were guilty of the crimes that you were convicted of. Man, I don't even know where to start. This is so heavy. Ted, you were the first DNA exoneration for Innocence Project Northwest. Is that correct?
Yes.
Question for everybody here. When you are accused of and then convicted of something you did not do, is there any way you can describe what that feels like?
Kind of pure joy.
Yeah.
You know, it's something that you've been waiting for, something you've
No,
been
when you were
for.
originally convicted, not,
convicted.
not when you were exonerated.
My mind is just on being free.
Right.
I don't even think about all the other stuff that much, really.
Conviction's about being completely destroyed as a human being, not feeling human anymore. It's completely destroyed, especially when you know that you haven't committed any crimes, and the word guilty comes out of the judge's mouth or the jury's mouth. It's destroying a human being. They try to dehumanize you from that point on.
It's a numbing feeling. It's like you lose all consciousness. It's as if your body transposed, your spirit leave your body. It's hard to explain because it's a feeling you never felt before. And that feeling when somebody takes something from you, it's just like ripping your skin off. It feels so bad it hurts so bad to where you can't say anything. Most of us is just, when that word guilty came, we just sat there numb, you know, because we couldn't believe that this is happening to me. And normally you get a conviction with evidence. They had no evidence on any of us.
Do you have any idea how this happened to you?
Yeah, oh, we got real good idea. We know exactly how it happened.
Without a doubt.
Tell me some of the things that happens. What are the lacks?
It was lack of good attorneys like these ladies you see here. It was the lack of people who really cared about the truth. It was the lack of just solving the case and saying, okay, it's off the books. That's all it was. There was no investigations because in my case, I was 6'2", light complected with long curly hair.
That doesn't seem to describe you.
So what investigator did they have, you know? And the state pushed it. So that's the other problem. And then the judge, in my case, was convicted in the federal courts. He wasn't even supposed to be on the bench. But he was allowed to continue to serve and wrong people on this bench. And so there was injustice all the way down from the police station to the judge.
This is, you know, the power of the state to take people's liberty, sometimes to take their life. And so we have to get this right. We have to improve this somehow. You guys talk about this all the time. Where do we start and how do the rest of us support you?
A good start would be to support the Innocence Project. It's a growing movement across the world. Like for instance, Seattle Innocence Project used to cover like Alaska, Washington, Oregon, I think even Idaho, but now Oregon has their own Innocence Project. Alaska has their own Innocence Project now. It's a great movement. That's a good start because we need criminal justice reform. We need to improve like the investigations, how they investigate crimes. Like a big part of what leads to wrongful convictions is eyewitness misidentification. So policy reform in that area, false confessions play a big role in wrongful convictions.
And we're learning more about that now. People used to believe that couldn't possibly happen, and yet we know it happens with some frequency.
In my case, if they would have just videotaped my interrogation, I wouldn't be sitting here right now.
Tell me more.
They would have said, from what I said in the interrogation was totally turned around from what the detective said I said. They said I calmly and collectively gave them the intimate details that only the perpetrator knew. Well, I didn't commit this crime, and I didn't know what the perpetrator did. So, you know, that's just them lying about what I said during the interrogation.
And there was
But
no
they didn't
video
video.
proof.
There was no video there. There was no audio video. There was, you know, none of that at the time. So a good way for people to get involved is going to the state legislator and helping getting videotaping interrogations passed, and the way they identify, where they misidentify.
Confessions and suspects.
Yeah.
Both of those, that's an excellent idea. So, Raymond, you mentioned what freedom feels like.
Yeah.
And you guys have found each other and you're helping us to understand this a little bit better. How do you live your life and live it with some joy and without the bitterness of the time that nobody gets back?
Well, the bitterness is there, of course, but you know, when you're dealing with having a life sentence over your head that you know you're innocent and you don't know if you're going to be released or not, you have to focus all your energy on getting free. And having the bitterness and revenge, you know, you learn that it's really a waste of time. It's a waste of energy. So you know, and I read the Bible, and you know, the first thing, you know, it's about love conquers evil. That's probably the only thing that will conquer it. So you really have to live that. You have to really believe it. And I want to say something that one thing people can do to help the Innocent Projects is to donate money to it, because
There are
Innocent
innocent
Projects, they do it for free. They did it for me free, and I think for most of the guys
They're
here.
donation-based.
Yeah, they do it pro bono. The government hasn't, you know, changed their ways, and you know, even though the movement is
To
becoming
support 'em.
worldwide, you know, the United States still hasn't grabbed a hold of
Right.
it. So these people, these beautiful lawyers here, they
Thank
have
you,
to.
lawyers. You
Yes.
guys are heroes in so many ways. We'll donate today.
They have to do it pro bono, so they need help. They need the help of the community.
Those are all excellent ideas, and thank you for talking about forgiveness and the unburdening process of not being bitter. If you can do that after what you've been through, then that's a life lesson for the rest of us.
It
music
takes
helps.
years. It takes years, but music is a compounding factor to that. But it
help.
takes years to release that.
Yeah.
What Ray said, as far as dealing with it for so many years, you finally realize that it's a waste of time. It builds up in your stomach and your gut, and this hate and this drawn back, why'd they do this to me program, and then finally you just choose to go the other direction. Some people don't. They continue to fall off the cliff. But we as individuals, just in particular, chose to go the other direction. We let it go, at least to some point in our lives, and realized that love is the answer.
Bless
So-
you. You guys inspire me so much.
So one of the things that we really want people to pay attention to is that don't only think it happened to someone else.
Yeah.
Because it knocks on a lot of different doors,
Yeah.
and when it knocks on yours, who's going to be there to help
Right.
you? So we want to pay it forward. We want to bring awareness. That's the reason we're out here. We want to bring awareness to what's going on, because it's been a secret so long, because we're used to trusting in the system. And myself, my family, my son is a part of, you know, the police officers, and so we're not hating the police system. It's just that is a lot of wrong being done to innocent people who have not the knowledge of how to fight this. So if we support it, this is not a political move. This has nothing to the left, right, or any wing you may be on. This is about justice. This is about being fair to all people at all times.
I have one thing to say. Happy Wrongful Conviction Day,
Day.
America.
Thank you guys so much. Once again, you can check out the Exoneree Band at Rock for Justice today at 5:30 at Century Ballroom on Capitol Hill. We'll link you to tickets and other ways you can support the Innocence Project Northwest on our website. So important. We'll be right back.